What is that? Eminem and Dajjal exposed? Wait, what? Let's have a look.
Eminem, or Slim Shady, has recently just released an album which is going viral. In his album, he has a song called Antichrist, which we Muslims refer to as Dajjal.
Yes.
Music is a tool used by Shaitan to misguide the people. The Quran does not specifically refer to music itself. Some scholars, however, have interpreted the phrase idle talk, which is discouraged, as including music. It was reported in Sahih al-Bukhari and elsewhere that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said that there would be among his ummah those who would allow zina, the wearing of silk, drinking of alcohol, and musical instruments.
Yes. It's actually crazy when you think about this hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari by our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Like, this is really very, very common these days. Like, even men wearing silk, right? Like, there are a lot of very strange outfits that some individuals wear where you're asking them, like, where you like look at them and you ask yourself, like, is that still a guy or is that a girl? Like, seriously. And yeah, we have like a lot of music going on. Even if you go to like the shopping center, there's music playing everywhere. If you are even walking on the street, you hear music coming from cars. You have people actually bragging about their zina experiences, and they even post this on social media. Like, the world has gone crazy. Like, even my grandma, she sometimes says, like, if she would travel back in time to her younger days when she was like 16 years old, she would not recognize our country anymore because everything's so different now. That's true.
Let's hear a breakdown of the song by Eminem and its meanings from an ex-black magician who has now reverted to Islam.
So on his new album, he just dropped a song titled Antichrist, and it has blown me away the fact that they're just not even hiding the demonic rituals anymore within their music.
Wow.
So the way the Illuminati works to get these demons or evil jinn into the host is they do a ritual of sorts to do invocation. Now there's a difference between invocation and exvocation rituals. The invocation is like you're inviting the spirit into your body, into your soul. It is, in other words, possession. Evocation rituals are like a phone call, like they're just communicating or speaking with the spirit. Invocation rituals are significantly more intense and a lot more difficult to accomplish, actually. Possession's kind of challenging depending on the situation. Now, looking at these lyrics now, it is absolutely absurd. The first thing he says is Marshall, he's the Antichrist. Now, a lot of the time, these artists, they get new nicknames for the jinn that is bound to their body. And what they do is...
Wait a second. Eminem calls himself the Antichrist, basically the Dajjal. So he wants to say now he's the Dajjal. Yeah, it's like weird. Like, I have to laugh because I remember, like, this is crazy. There are like a lot of weird individuals online these days. You see them on social media. There are people claiming to be the Mahdi. There are people claiming to be the Dajjal. And they don't even have any of the traits that they have. There was like a guy, and I think he's from Australia. And he claims he's the Mahdi, but the Mahdi is actually Arabic, right? And there are even signs, like, there are certain attributes, oh, the Dajjal with the eye, right? And stuff. Like, if you don't have those signs, how can you be the Dajjal, or how you can be the Mahdi if you're some dude from Australia or somewhere, right? Like, I'm sorry, but this is just so strange, like claiming to be someone, right, that is written in a scripture, but there's a description of traits that this being has, and you don't even have one of them. How can you be it then? How can you be it? Makes no sense.
Looking at these lyrics now, it is absolutely absurd. The first thing he says is Marshall, he's the Antichrist. Now, a lot of the time, these artists, they get new nicknames for the jinn that is bound to their body. And what they do is the jinn fuels the creativity to pump the Dajjal system into music, to put it into people's ears and motivate them into doing haram or sins. Now, I'm going to just skip to the parts that are really juicy. The whole entire song is just absolutely obscure. But keep in mind, when he refers to himself as the Antichrist, he's talking about the Dajjal system. There's two parts to the Dajjal or the Antichrist. One is the Dajjal in the flesh, which we know has one of his eyes is bulging like a grape and has all these characteristics that we can see. Now, the Dajjal system's slightly different. It isn't the flesh. What it is a energy source, a mind setting that is sweeping the nation.
Is that a gang sign? Have you,
Oh, like you don't know what it is.
You don't know what that is.
I have no idea.
You don't know. Jimmy Fallon doesn't know. David Letterman doesn't know.
We don't know.
All the comics and show business don't know what this is. Right? Yeah.
What is it?
Come on, Jimmy. Seriously, the time is up. People are hip to this kind of stuff. For years now, talk show hosts, people on television, people in sitcoms have been hired by the government to throw you off the track, to distract you, to make you laugh and stuff like that.
You know what, Jim Carrey's actually pretty smart. Like, I've watched some of his videos and speeches. Like, may Allah guide him. I mean, like, seriously, I think he's very, very smart.
To throw you off the track, to distract you, to make you laugh and stuff like that, make you happy and docile so you don't know what's really going on. You know, and they get out there in the woods in a circle naked and they decide these things and, you know, and you know, look at him trying to come with that. It's hilarious. And, you know, and I'm sick of, hold on a second. You know what they're trying to do? Who? This thing is buzzing, hold on. They're trying to turn us into, you know, consumer drones of some sort. Hold on, I just gotta get this.
That's true.
Although said in a sarcastic way, actor and comedian Jim Carrey exposes some of these secrets. What's even worse is the crowd just clapping and laughing, completely unaware of the implications of what he is saying. We are losing critical thinkers and just gaining more sheep and zombies. So you see, it's not just the music industry influenced by these powers. It's all forms of entertainment that is being shoved in our faces. Now let's continue analyzing the song by Eminem.
And this is why I say things like people act like zombies. This is a direct product of the Dajjal system. Now in the first verse, this is where things start getting a little bit juicy. Right off the bat, he starts talking about how he's with Ben Affleck, himself, Seth Green, hanging on the left wing of Jeffrey Epstein's jet screaming. Like, he just talks about how he's with Epstein on his way to Epstein's island. Now, I understand being edgy and wild and fun, right? We'll even put the word fun to it. But this is absurd. Talking about being involved with something of that magnitude is not a joke in any way. Now, immediately after he starts talking about how he's on his way to Epstein's island, he starts speaking about how these thoughts creep into his head and it's not him, and then immediately says that they brainwashed me. It doesn't matter how deep of an Illuminati puppet they are, they will always slip up and the truth comes out. This is due to the subconscious connection that they have with the jinn. It's like almost as if their soul is fighting for control over one body, and the truth and little bits of information is going to pop out of them. It is past the point of a conspiracy. We have all the information in front of us. They're telling us what they're doing, and people still choose to fall for it. It's actually insane. Now, jumping to the end of the second verse, he just keeps ranting some...
That's actually so true what he said. I've seen some interviews even about some individuals that are very wealthy and rich, and then they suddenly come out and say, I'm not happy, this money, this fame is not worth it, I feel like I sold my soul, this and that. They have like those days where they talk like this, and then the next day it's just back to normal. It's really like for some minutes they gain some freedom and they're like literally being brainwashed or under control. Then again those few minutes where they are being themselves again or something, right? And then they get like caught up again in their lifestyle and everything. It's like that, right? Like, I've seen this a lot, and this is where usually those breakdowns come from like celebrities where they begin to cry and talk about whatever is happening in their lives. It's like those moments, basically, right? So, yeah, like, that's actually fascinating, because those artists, like, even Justin Bieber had his slip-ups and Jay-Z, right, where they, like, said something super, super real for a moment, and they became, like, very emotional and stuff, yeah. I've seen some of those interviews and social media posts and stuff. So yeah, this is true.
Off the wall.
Subhanallah.
But all the way at the bottom of it, it talks about how he sinfully get into spitting the devil in me, I do his bidding. So he openly talks about how he does the bidding for the devil. This is another one of those times where they're talking about the Dajjal system. It's obvious he doesn't work directly for the devil. What it is there's a jinn attached to him that's doing so. Humans don't really have direct connection to Satan himself. It doesn't work that way. And then after that verse, he just starts talking about how you want to dance with the devil, and repeats dance with the devil 4 or 5 more times after that. This This repetition technique is very powerful. This is the exact same thing that the Scientologists use to control people.
Wow.
It's through this weird manipulation game where you do repetition over and over again, and it's actually one of the original old school marketing techniques where they just say the same thing over and over and over again on a radio commercial to try to get you to buy a product. Now, when it comes to the Illuminati conversation, I understand I lose a lot of people. A lot of people still believe that the Illuminati is just a conspiracy, but I want you guys to think about something for a minute. And because of the restrictions of all these social media platforms, I can't directly say the name of the individuals who are the Illuminati, but I can ask the right questions so you can figure it out yourself. So think about all the people that Kanye exposed and said this group of people is on every influencer, every media personality's contract. Okay, the people that Kanye talked about frequently recently. And everybody knows this group of individuals is involved in media from start to finish. They own everything. Now take that bit of information and then apply all that to the Illuminati. People say the exact same thing about the Illuminati that the
You know what's like sad about this and Kanye West? Like, was it also like the same with like Michael Jackson? Like I've heard something about like how he wants to buy certain studios and how he was like owning certain parts of like a production studio, this and that, right? Like a lot of artists are actually complaining that they wish they had their own music studio, right? And they would not be signed to some label and they want to have like their own control of what music they bring out and release, right? Because if you look at like a lot of music labels and stuff, when people like sign up to them, they appear to us like they're independent artists, but actually their label also dictates what they can put out and what not, what can they say, what not, this and that, and they don't want their music to be too political, they don't want like woke stuff too much and this and that, right? Like this is the thing, like a lot of artists and people that become famous by signing a contract, they become in a way slaves, right? Because they no longer have the total freedom of what sort of music they put out and this and that. And that's why a lot of songs like back in the day when I still was like not a Muslim and I was all into that sort of hip-hop lifestyle and all, back in the day, if you look at like upcoming artists and their first album and the first songs they ever released that got them famous, there's more real talk in the lyrics. They are more sincere, more truthful, more this and that. And then if you look at like the second or third album they release, and over time, the music becomes more and more fake. There's more and more actually nothing uplifting or motivational. Like it's less real talk. It's more about, yo, I do this, I do that. I have women, I have cars, I have money, this and that. But before it's all about, oh, I don't want to be broke anymore. I want to live my dream. I want to buy my mama a house. I want to help the poor. I want to save the world. I want to this. I want that. Like this is like how a lot of artists actually start, or where they talk about their emotions, right? And then suddenly it's money, cars, this and that, and all that materialistic lifestyle stuff, right? It's like, what's happening here? Like, why do they make suddenly a turn after one or two albums and stuff? And you see this happen to every single artist almost, right? And this is because the labels, they control the artists. And that's why at some point they cannot even decide what they put out, what sort of songs and what's inside the lyrics. That's why the first songs of a lot of artists are more real than the songs that come after, right? It's just a fact.
Now take that bit of information and then apply all that to the Illuminati. People say the exact same thing about the Illuminati, that the Illuminati owns the media industry, they own the news outlets, and they do X, Y, and Z. So why do we use two different names for the exact same thing? And it's no surprise that the Tiny Hat Club is using Kabbalistic rituals as the Illuminati, and they just use the name Illuminati to divert people's attention away from what they're really doing. And what's really fascinating about the Kabbalah and this conversation in general is this is how I found the Quran and this is how I found Islam. I got to a point in my studies where there was two monotheistic beliefs that I hadn't really studied as much, so I picked up the Quran and the Kabbalah at the exact same time. And over time, the Quran and Islamic teachings just got better. The more I learned, the better it got. With the other side of the fence, which I can't name, it just got worse. And where they lost me is whenever the teachers started to explain morality to me. In the Kabbalah, it teaches that there's no such thing as good and bad. And the example they use is if a tsunami would hit and wipe out an entire village. That they said, well, maybe everybody losing their life in that village may be a bad thing if you look at it on the surface. But for the construction company that rebuilds the city, it is the greatest thing that ever happened to them. Therefore, that a tsunami ending a bunch of people's lives is not a negative thing. And that's where I totally disconnected from that side, is because you can create positive moments without causing a negative to somebody else.
Listen guys, this is an Islamic teaching of ours, and this is why we always have to trust in Allah and have like a good thought about like Allah's qadr for us, right? Like our destiny, right? So if something befalls a Muslim and it's a misfortune, right? Like maybe someone loses a job, right? Now you can add two spins on it, right? The first spin is, this is bad because you lost your job, right? But maybe this job was the job that had haram elements in it, and Allah wanted you to be closer to him. Because you lose this job, you are now more religious and you're away from haram. So even though you lose like a lot of finances, maybe you have to move out of your apartment, you have to get a smaller one, but now you're more religious and you're away from a haram job. So we as Muslims, if something befalls us, we still say Alhamdulillah, because there's maybe some benefit in it, right? Or if you get sick in Islam, we believe that if you catch a fever, for example, and you're in bed, we have like high temperature, you're coughing, you don't feel well, your sins are being forgiven because you're being sick, right? So there is something positive to something bad that befalls a Muslim. It can be either sins are forgiven, or maybe there's like something hidden that we don't know. Maybe you breaking your ankle because you walk the stairs and you slip, you fall, you break your ankle is the reason why you're still alive tomorrow, because on that day you were supposed to drive somewhere to meet a friend, but on this day you would get involved into a car accident and lose your life. But because you broke your ankle, because you fell down the stairs, this is why you didn't get into a car accident and you're still alive. So there is some wisdom behind things that happen, even those that seem bad to us, right? But we never would say, and this is what he just said, right? We never would say that if an evil befalls another type of people or someone, that this is our benefit or we financially gain. No, this is morally wrong. So we have something similar, but we don't have this sort of moral aspect like he just said, right? Where, oh, if a tsunami comes and wipes out the people, others get rich. No. What we maybe would say about the tsunami is that maybe those people were transgressing, and there were maybe some people that would also have transgressed and become disbelievers, and because this city disappeared, the others didn't become disbelievers or something, right? Like, wasn't it like that with the people of Lut alayhi salam? Like, yeah, they were like wiped out, but maybe they would have spread the whatever it is that they were spreading, right, with like the homosexuality, the not morality, and this and that, and the disbelief, they would have maybe spread it to other lands, right, with their sort of behavior. So there's always a wisdom behind something, but only Allah knows, right? Allahu alam.
If you're profiting off of somebody else's misery, that's a negative thing. There's nothing positive about that. If you're causing somebody else pain or capitalizing on somebody else's pain, doesn't make it a good thing.
No.
And this is exactly how these people think.
Yeah, you shouldn't capitalize on
their
that.
negative demonic actions because they make money off of the situation. And because they justify all
That's
these
evil
actions, they take it to the point where they stuff it in their music, and then they feed it to your children, they feed it to your wives, they feed it to your friends and your family. They want to corrupt everybody, and they're not going to stop at anything. It is stuff like this where they're not even hiding it anymore. They're making it apparent. They don't care if we find out. They want us to know at this point because nobody's going to believe them. People like me just get stuffed in the dark and nobody listens to us. But that's about to change really soon.
Yeah. Yo, that is actually very interesting. No, he said some good points about like also the music industry and how a lot of artists are actually slaves and what they put out there, and there are some rituals. And it's actually funny because more and more celebrities come out with this, and certain people that also have reverted to Islam over the years say this. And if you look at like a former outlaw member, right, Mutabel, formerly known as Napoleon, and he was with Tupac, he even said like, oh, the music industry has its bad sides, this and that. But there are like a lot of people that say this. Even also Loon, for example, from Bad Boy Records, he also reverted to Islam. He even said there's some evil in the music industry. A lot of actors like Jim Carrey, they will say, hey, look at this, there's Illuminati. Kanye West now, and they try to cancel now Kanye West because he speaks the truth about certain things. He maybe doesn't always speak the truth, but sometimes he does, right? And they know they're trying to cancel him. Some people get certain Me Too movement cases. They're trying to lock up now even Andrew Tate, this and that. Like, if people speak the truth that are insiders in this sort of society or atmosphere, like, people are trying to get rid of them, and we should ask ourselves, like, why are they doing that, right? So yeah, this is actually very, very interesting. It's a good, informative video. Let me give this one a thumbs up. Yeah, and let me know your thoughts in the comment section. What I'm saying is, be careful, like, stay away from haram things. May Allah protect us all. I mean, avoid music, because music these days is, besides it being haram, it's haram anyway in Islam, but besides it being haram, like, a lot of music is filled with dirt. It's calling for zina, for drug abuse, materialistic lifestyle, this and that. Like, there's a lot of evil in music these days, and the music just keeps getting worse. Like, look at those people jumping on stage dressed like the devil and stuff. Like, it's insane. There are more and more artists that are actually mentioning the devil or adding the devil into their music videos. This is insanity. Like, be careful with music. Do other activities, find different hobbies, listen to a lot of Quran, do different things. Just stay away from music. Like, there's nothing good in it. But yeah, guys, if you're new to this channel, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more content. And if you found this video informative, please don't forget to give this one a thumbs up. And I will see you guys next time, inshallah.